everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Bleav in Colts podcast.
Welcome back to Bleav in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, are my guys Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. And today, we have a very serious episode that we're going to go over. First off, I'll tell you what, nobody wants to see anyone ever get injured on the field, right? No one wants to see injuries. Everybody, I mean, it's part of the game. It happens, but no one likes to see it. I mean, this past Sunday, we saw a few injuries, including one to our very own. Actually, a couple. We had a concussion as well, right? If I remember correctly. But what happened last night to Damar Hamlin was to the point that it just brings us all back to the humanity of the situation. Jerraud, what was your thoughts when you actually saw what was going on out there?
Oh, I was watching it live, and I mean, as soon as it happened, I mean, Rodney would tell you, like, you see concussions so much, like guys get woozy and all that, so you know how a guy would react if he gets up too fast and he's woozy and he might have to go back down. But as soon as I saw the way that he kind of collapsed down, I was like, man, I hope his heart didn't stop. Man, that looked like a collapse. I mean, that's the first thing I said to my wife. And my wife is literally in panic mode. Like you would think that it was one of her kids or myself in that situation, because it just took her back to like being in the stands, watching me, injuries happen and all that, and you just get worried as a family member or a friend or whoever it might be that you're supporting watching that game. So my entire household, literally my kids come from their rooms downstairs like, Dad, did you see just what happened? Like, what's wrong, and all those type things. And I'm trying to calm them down and just like, hey man, let's just pray. Let's just hope for the best, hope that he's okay, and let the doctors do their job, let the trainers do their job. But when it became commercial break after commercial break, he needs oxygen, like when they start making like little statements like that, that's when I was like, oh man, this is like really, really bad. Like this is a serious situation. So I mean, it's just scary. I mean, we hear the cliches all the time, as football players, hey, I'll die on the field, hey, we're going to war, stuff like that. But you literally expect to go back home to your family after every game, and you don't take it to that extent literally, but to see something like that happen, man, it just brings you back down. I mean, it grounds you again and lets you know how serious and how rough this game can be. And I'm praying for his family. I know they say it's a cardiac arrest situation. He's still in critical condition. And I pray that, his vitals and everything is back to normal, but I pray that everything comes back and, this guy can continue to live a lifelong, successful life that he's had so far.
I just want to remind everyone that BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We are the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. Absolutely. And, it's funny you bring up the whole, player mentality when it comes to that. We had a player that's quite famous for his quote. He's now with the Bills, but Nyheim Hines, right, as a punt returner, had talked about, going out there, and every time he goes to field a kickoff or a punt, he's like, I'm going out there with the thought that I could die on this play, and he's okay. That's what he's going to do. He was out there, when this happened as well. So I would love to get his 2 cents, but at this point, he's not a Colt. So my prayers and thoughts to Damar, his family, his friends, Bills fans, his teammates, coaches, everyone out there. I feel for everybody. Rodney, what was going through your mind when you saw what was going on out there?
Yeah, I think, like you just said, first and foremost, prayers go out to, his family and friends and teammates and everyone who's connected to Jerron, and witness what we all did last night. And, I, like Jerrod, my wife and I were watching the game, and, this was the game of the week, right? It's prime time, and it has a lot of playoff implications involved. And so everyone's locked in, and just like everybody else, I really thought after the hit that it probably was concussion related, but I began to get worried, as Jerraud said, when they continue to have multiple commercial breaks. Uh, it just felt different,
Mm-hmm.
and I think for everyone, it brought it was a reality check to this sport that we all love. That Jerrod's played since he was little, myself included, and you as well, Lawrence. You've played the game, and the moment you hit the field, you try to remove any thought of an
Couldn't hurt.
injury occurring.
Yep.
Right.
Hmm.
That is the rule. It's, you don't go out there thinking that this play will truly be your last. And not only that, you never think that it will put you in a condition where you're unable to breathe, you're unable to go home to your families, as Jerraud said. And that's what we saw last night. He literally collapsed and laid there breathless for minutes, over 10 minutes of time. And that just puts the game in perspective. I know, we're often as players, seen as these warriors and gladiators, and how we're so conditioned to overlook injuries, but injuries are real, and
Mm-hmm.
injuries not only have a short-term effect, but they have long-term effects. You think about the concussions and how serious, over the recent years that the league has implemented these rules that we were just addressing to try to eliminate these unnecessary blows to the head, and how the condition of the helmets are so much better for and equipped for these sorts of hits. It's a violent sport, man, and we put our bodies on the line for this game that we love. And for Duran to go through this at such a young age, man, it's so sad to see. And we all make great sacrifices in life and for this sport, but we never wanted to come at the expense of our own life. And the young man right now is fighting for that, and I'm hoping that he makes a full recovery as soon as possible. I know there's so many people just trying to get news. My wife, she's her passion is medical field and concussions and things of that nature. So she's educated me on what it could potentially be, what she thinks, and we just sat there in prayer, just like you guys said, just hoping that, man, some good news would we would hear good news soon.
Yeah.
And the one thing I was kind of appreciative about, normally NFL don't handle these type situations well. I was actually thankful that they did not continue this game.
I'm telling you.
To see the both sides, how it affected the players,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no way you can get yourself back ready mentally to play a game when you see a player laying on the field breathless. Like you're seeing doctors and trainers that personally having to give CPR to a player. Like, that's a life-changing situation for anybody. So for both of the head coaches to come together, because I'm pretty sure it was both head coaches was on the same page about, like, we cannot continue this game. I was happy that the NFL didn't, I guess, pick business over real life situations, because that's what we normally see from the NFL.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Like, they chose us first.
Yeah.
For the first time, I would say,
in a real
what I'm
situation.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. You need to listen to your players. And it was great to see both coaches, like you said, come together and really just gauge the temperature of their team. and listen to what their players had to say. And like Jerraud, man, any other injury, the ones we're accustomed to seeing, what I'm saying, strains,
broken bones,
ligament tears, broken bones, they move the ball up 15 yards, and it's like you continue on with practice as if it never happened. And like last night, you can't do that. You can't move the ball up 20 yards and say let's get to playing. You can't take a 30-minute break and get back to it because somebody's life is at risk, and and we don't know where he stands in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. And you talk about the other plays. It's something that you are prepared for as a player. That you could have a torn tendon or a broken bone or something of that nature. But when you have something of that life-threatening happening on the field, I'm going to assume, because I've never had it happen to me in front of me, but I'm going to assume that being out there, that's when things in your own mind start that could be me out there, that could, and at that point, like you said, that's going to change your mentality. It's going to it'd be almost impossible to get your mind back in the right situation to even play the game. So the fact that the NFL did go ahead and postpone the game, I think was a credit to them. Finally, I mean, there was guys out there like Skip Bayless last night that happened. When it happened, he was like, how can the NFL do this? And I'm like, because this isn't like normal situations. This isn't a normal situation at all. I have a question for both of you guys when it comes to big player injuries, where guys, have very serious injuries, and, the camera. Should the camera continue to stay on the player and like replay certain things, or should they kind of pull that camera off in very intimate situations for players?
I've seen this discussion a little bit, and it's kind of back and forth for me, because I mean, when it's happening in real time, you don't know the seriousness of it initially. But as it goes on, of course, you don't want the camera to keep replaying what happened, showing what happened. But on the flip side of it, let's just say that young man's family is not at the game and they don't have any way to communicate or any way to kind of know the seriousness of it or what's going on. So in hindsight, it could help from the communication standpoint of what's going on for his family in specific. Now, it's an ugly injury. It's an ugly situation. You don't want the cameras just to keep rolling the replays and just staying on exactly about what's going on right there. But I'm pretty sure that his family and friends that was watching that might not have thought it was as serious initially, maybe just a little bit appreciated the fact that they got some type of information of what was going on because of the cameras and some of the things that was said as far as on the broadcast standpoint about that current situation. So I'm kind of on both sides of it, but you don't want the replays and stuff like that to continue to show, for sure.
Rodney?
Yeah, I think I agree with Jerraud, and I think last night they handled it very well. I think as they started to get word of the seriousness of the injury, they respectfully started to zoom out, right, and kind of just do more of a widescreen. But what they did the best was, I think, providing everybody just with consistent updates, because you do have that family member who is at home, who's waiting for some sort of response and really begging, please get the cameras back on them. But I think at the end of the day, if you can just keep viewers updated just with the information from as a broadcaster, that is the best thing to do in that moment right there. And so I like I said, I respect what they did last night and being able to kind of give him that privacy and allow, doctors to administrate the practices that they need in that moment. There's some things that you just don't want, to share. And I respect them for that. And so, you kind of play both sides of it, but I think they handled it the best way they could last night.
Absolutely. A lot of support has been shown for Damar's charity, his foundation, his toy drive. Ever since this happened, the support has been absolutely unreal by friends, families, fans, everybody out there. It's raised to this point over $4.5 million since the injury happened. That shows a lot of support and caring about what's actually going on. So thank you, everybody, because obviously, children are very important, and his foundation donating is one way to show, your thoughts and prayers are with them. Let's move on. Talk about a couple games maybe, and the implications that they've had for this past week. I don't have a lot of time left for this episode, but I do want to get into, boy, them Jacksonville Jaguars look for real, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They legit right now. They legit.
Man, they just put a whooping on the Texans.
Yeah, I think the experience just kicking in, man. The more reps and games these young guys play, the more confidence it seemed to, give the team as a whole. I mean, they got young guys all over their roster and young upcoming superstars as well. And whenever you get the right head coach, right coaching staff, and you got stability in the front office and everybody's on the same page, I mean, it just shows you what that can do for a team going forward. And, what they went through with Urban Meyer and that group, I mean, it's completely night and day on how the league is respecting the Jacksonville Jaguars right now.
Yeah, Dougie P, man. That's
your guy.
That's my guy. He's changing the culture there, and that's what you want to see. He's giving direction, and I remember seeing a few guys talk about him. They put I think a few quotes up from some players, and I think one thing that I witnessed throughout my time there, because it wasn't easy. It wasn't all, Super Bowl champion confetti at every single week. In the 5 years that I played with him, we had dark times. We had 4-7 starts, and we had to fight our way through. But one thing that Doug always did was he made sure that we were unified, that we were consistently together, that the messaging always was consistent, and that we never wavered. And when you always revert back to that, it's like trust the process. And he really ingrained that in us. And so I think he's doing that right there in Jacksonville. You've seen them come back, and it looks as if their season is done, and they just keep pushing and keep fighting and knowing like they're on that breaking point of really turning the corner. And so they've done that, and now they put themselves in position to win the division when everybody thought that even with all the guys that they brought in, they were going to be the same Jacksonville Jaguars. But they said otherwise, and they really believe in themselves and have the utmost confidence in their team, and knowing that they're going to take on the defending champions at home in Jacksonville to send them into the playoffs. What better stage, man? And on primetime Saturday game, I'm excited to check it out, and I'm mad that I'm not a part of it, right? We're not in the discussion, for this division, but it's gonna be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Absolutely. Really, especially with the like you said, the difference in the directions the teams are going right now. The Titans are just on a free fall, very much similar to the Indianapolis Colts. And Jacksonville has won a lot of games as of late, and in convincing fashion at that. Another team, I could just real quick. If the Lions make the playoffs, can they make noise? Because they just beat the Bears. I mean, the Bears.
Anybody that get in the dance can make noise. It's all about momentum. I mean, I remember Eli Manning and the Giants had to win the last like 5-6 games of the season to get in the playoffs. And when they got in the playoffs, they end up being a Super Bowl champion. So once you get in, all records and what you've done previously that in the season, it don't matter anymore. Now you got to play your best on Sunday. You can't have any hiccups. You can't play subpar. It's whoever is the best that upcoming Sunday. So if Detroit gets in, I think they have the potential to cause some noise. I mean, you got a team that's been hungry for respect. Not necessarily just to get in the playoffs. They've been hungry just to have respect around the league. So if that momentum, they get in the playoffs and that momentum keep riding, man, like I said, anybody that's in the dance can cause damage to anybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal a Philly quote, man. Hungry dogs run faster. And they're right now they're hungry for it all, for a win. And it's exciting to see, how this 17th game has really just stirred things up around the league consistent over the past couple seasons. And now they have to go to Green Bay. If you really want it, then you're gonna have to go get it versus one of the best to do it.
I was about to say, and they're hot, and Green Bay's hot, and they
just smoked the Vikings,
So you look at Green Bay about 5-6 weeks ago, we wrote them off. I mean, at one point we were saying that Aaron Rodgers needs to go. He's not
quarterback
playing
change, right?
and all that type of stuff. And now you look at them, it's just like, man, they figured it out at the right time. And that's what we said weeks ago. You don't want to be playing your best football at the beginning of the year or middle of the year. You want to be playing your best football in December and January going into the playoffs.
Yeah, but still making sure you give yourself, like, obviously, a chance to staying afloat. But it's been impressive to watch, both Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady battle back. Both the OGs getting it done, man. And Tampa's clinched, but Aaron Rodgers still has one more before he can grant himself a ticket into the dance. But it is a new season once that playoffs start. It doesn't matter what you did. And Jerraud alluded to it, but I'll go back to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers when they won. I think they went off on a winning streak, and they end up winning 8 in a row. If you talk about the regular season into playoffs, and had to do it in the playoffs all on the road.
Yep.
So
it's tough to do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. All right, I think that's probably going to do it for this week, talking about stuff that's going on in the NFL. For myself, Jerraud Powers, Rodney McLeod. Thank you guys for watching Bleav in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And until next time, have a good one.
Do you believe?